two pieces of business. So one is, as it says on the agenda, the Housatonic Waterworks statement. Most of our strategy discussion has taken place in executive session to protect the town's interest. But I'd like to provide a very brief update to our residents in Housatonic this evening. During the last priority planning session, the board instructed our town manager to secure an attorney specializing in utility acquisitions. Since we anticipate appointing special counsel to assist us with acquisition negotiations as the next step in this process to address the water quality issues in the village of Housatonic. As a result, tonight we will be joined by attorney Eric Crawwall from Rich May Law, who's here to introduce himself, and that will happen during town manager's report and his firm to the board. And then we will hopefully vote to hire him as special counsel. His biography was included in the posted packet for this evening. So that'll happen during town manager's report. The other part that I have tonight is typically at this time of year, we lift the holiday parking time limits between December 1st and the 31st. And we neglected to do that this year. So it's housekeeping, and I'm comfortable doing that because we do it to encourage dining and shopping during the holiday season. And instead of waiting for 2 weeks to do that, can I have a motion for us to lift the holiday parking time limits until December 31st?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Ben?
Aye.
Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I. Select board's announcements or statements. Ben?
Yeah, just want to take a quick moment to thank Chief Turner, everyone from the Great Barrington Fire Department, NEMA, and all of the many towns and organizations that helped maintain and contain the butternut fire over the last 2 weeks. I can't believe it's only been 2 weeks since it happened, but it's an amazing show of our great fire department that we got it under control the way we did. Though unfortunately, I also feel like this is going to be something that is not going to be uncommon in the future. So I'm hopeful that we are even better prepared for the unfortunate next time that something like this happens. And I also want to take a quick moment to just express my sadness about the news of Simon's Rock announcing that they're leaving Great Barrington. I'm a Simon's Rock alum, so I've been feeling this personally, and I know that there's going to be a lot of talk about the future of the actual land in question, and I hope that this board and the town is able to work with Bard leadership in deciding what the future of the property will be. But I don't want in those discussions to lose the fact that this is a real blow to our community for a lot of reasons, namely being that Simon's Rock is an amazing resource for students who are looking for an alternative form of education, like myself. To have that here in Southern Berkshire County has been an amazing resource. It's also been a way to bring in a generations of young, talented people who come on or continue on to be business owners and strong community members and even members of local town government, as well as all of the amazing staff and faculty members who are our friends and neighbors. So this is going to be a real blow for our community, and I look forward to doing whatever we can to lessen its impact. So thanks.
Thanks, Ben. Garfield?
Nothing.
Eric?
Yeah, I just wanted to take a moment also and say thank you to all the emergency services, not only ours in Great Barrington, but all the surrounding communities and even the departments that came in from out of state. That was a pretty scary scene to watch from a distance and as a civilian, and just glad that there was no major injuries while they're running around in that on the mountainsides and everything. So just wanted to express my gratitude to all the volunteers and everybody involved in that effort to contain the butternut fire.
Thanks. Lee?
Just repeating the sentiments. Thank you to all that were involved. Steve and I went down to the command center, and it really was quite an operation to see. So thank you to everyone that really took part in that. Simon's Rock, just as that said, I mean, this is a huge impact and we'll keep working towards it. And there's the task force, the huge task force put together to really take a look at what we're going to be doing in the future. So keeping an eye on that. And finally, thanks to those that put up the holiday lights that look great, and looking forward to the sip and stroll. So thank you.
Excellent. Approval of minutes. We have the minutes of November 4th and November 6th. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes of November 4th and November 6th.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call vote. Ben.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. Town manager's report.
One topic to cover tonight, and as Steve, as you mentioned earlier, you asked me at one point, I think this was back in sometime in the summer during a priority planning session, to try to locate special counsel to assist us with negotiating the purchase price for the Housatonic Water Works system. And I just want to remind everyone that ultimately, and I know you're aware, but ultimately town meeting will need to approve the purchase anyway, but this will get the conversation started. So with us tonight is Eric Pathwall from Rich May Law. Eric, your mic is open. You could just introduce yourself and your firm.
Thanks a lot, Mark, and nice to meet you all. Thank you for considering myself and Rich May. I'm Eric Crathwall. I've been working as a lawyer for quite a while.
I just promoted him as panelist, sorry.
Can you hear me now? I guess I just changed from something to a panelist. So I don't know if you heard everything, but anyway, I'm Eric Crathwall of the law firm Rich May in Boston. I, with a number of my partners have and associates, have worked on utility matters for a very long time, and been involved with a number of utility acquisitions, including quite a few water company acquisitions. We were peripherally involved in one acquisition by a municipality of a privately owned water company as well. I'm happy to answer questions or talk more about our firm. We are a full service, mid-sized law firm, handling all range of business matters, litigation, real estate, corporate and transactional matters, as well as the utility specialty, which we've had for some time.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
I just want to know what your role will be.
Did you hear that there?
Yes, I did. What my role would be, and specifically, or the firm, I'll take a shot at it, and if I'm not
In regards to HWW as well.
right. As I understand it from some limited conversations with your town manager, you've had some numbers of dealings with the water company over time, and I guess are approaching the concept of the town purchasing the water company. There's certainly negotiations that go into that. There are some input as to the value, and I do have some experience with that, although I'm not a valuation expert. And ultimately, once the negotiations were consummated, then there would be the documentation and proceeding with the acquisition. which would be like many other corporate or municipal commercial transactions, which would involve the contracts and certainly due diligence. I assume that we would have some role in due diligence as well, and advising the town all along the way, particularly as to the specialized water and utility context. I have worked with your regular municipal counsel, David Dineski, I believe, and I'm not sure what his role would be, but he and I have had an amicable relationship in the context of one other water company and municipality over many years. So I really would look to the town and the town manager to define it, but we're happy to help and certainly capable of handling the matter from soup to nuts, I would say.
Good.
I guess the only thing I want to say is, in a nutshell, Attorney Crackball would be your representative at the negotiating table.
I just have a question. Thank you. Have you had any, have you crossed paths with anyone, with Housatonic Waterworks? Have you ever had dealings in the past, or do you know, the Mercer or his father? I'm just curious if there's any history there.
I did mention to both David and to Mark that I had received a call, a number of years ago, 2 years, maybe more, maybe a little bit less, from Jim Mercer. I heard his description of the situation of Housatonic Water and basically being not able to really support operations the way they needed to be, and the idea of potentially trying to sell the water company down the road. But he talked to me, and nothing ever went beyond that. So I have had.
Was he looking to hire you at that time, or did he give you any?
He was, I guess, considering the need for counsel. I think maybe he was, I guess maybe he was looking to see, who might be out there. I can't remember to what extent we discussed sales of water companies. So, whether he was seeking any information from me, generally, I can't remember, but I guess that he might have been looking for counsel at that point, but he certainly, never called me back, following up on that. So.
A motion to hire the Rich Bay Law Firm as special counsel for the Housatonic Waterworks acquisition discussion.
I just saw a discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry, I asked.
Yeah, I was just curious, the whole process, and I don't want to kind of unravel the whole thing, but I was just wondering how, did we talk to other people, or how did this come about?
Did we talk to other?
In terms of, looking at other service, was this the one person that we approached, or is this?
Yes, Attorney Crackball came highly recommended by David Dineski, our general counsel.
Yeah, so I guess I would just further like to ask, as far as with Housatonic Waterworks reaching out, the overall parameters of what we're asking for is I see this as being a long drawn out process, probably, or not, hopefully not super long, but as we're sitting at this table, you feel confident that you can support our town to the best of your capabilities, and you didn't have any true interactions with Housatonic Waterworks beyond just this one phone call you discussed. We have
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess there's, it's been a long process here, and there's always been a line of question, with Housatonic Water Works and its support of the town that it services. So I guess I just would like to follow up on Lee's question and just make sure that, we start off on the right foot and that everything's above board and that it was just this one call that you had from there and, no other counseling than that.
Certainly, we were never engaged. And the conversation certainly wasn't substantive. I mean, in terms of providing legal advice or acting as counsel. I do not recall more than the single conversation. I believe there could have been, you know, as I said, he was inquiring about Rich May and myself. I would be surprised if I had not sent him a follow-up email, but really there was no, and no real conversations that I recall other than the one, and no communications on an ongoing basis, and none of that has been within at least the past 18 months, I would say. And we certainly never took them on as a client.
Michelle LeBaire, 70 Division Street, and a Housatonic Water Works customer. Thank you, Mr. Gabriel, for bringing up some points regarding an interaction already between this law firm and Housatonic Water. As a Housatonic Water Works customer, for the public record, would like to state I'm very uncomfortable with hiring a law firm where the attorneys already had a conversation with Housatonic Water. I don't care how long ago it was. I just think we're stepping into some conflict here. I'm not an attorney, but it's leaving a bad taste in my mouth already, and I haven't even drank any Housatonic water. So if you've ever been through a divorce, and I have, if your spouse contacts an attorney, then you contact an attorney, the attorney really can't represent you because there's been a conversation there. I don't see where this is any different. So just for the public record, I'm very uncomfortable with this representation. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I'll follow up on my original question. That was really the reason why I was posing that, to see if there was some conversations in the past, if there were some information shared. I am a little bit uncomfortable, and I feel that, perhaps a bit more information should be gathered before we take this step, because it is a huge step. And, we did make the call to, not take on Mr. Dineski's services for this reason, to make sure we get the best possible representation. But I'm willing to,
My feeling is strongly that this gentleman has said that they had one interaction a few years ago. They were never hired. They didn't work for him. I'm comfortable with this. We didn't take on David Dineski because it's not his specialty, and we wanted someone who specializes in acquisition. And that's what we have. So I'm not uncomfortable, but it's a board decision.
I guess, I would just like to ask if we can, maybe circle back on this and just ask staff to, while doing pricing on any project or anything, I like to get a few opinions, and maybe if we could just hold on the vote for tonight and have staff come back to us with whether it be another couple options, or if our options have been exhausted, sort of statement. I just want to make sure, as Lee said, as Michelle said, that we just do a thorough search before we take on this endeavor that we know will be a lot of work. So I just want to feel confident that not only I myself, but the customers of Housatonic Water know that we really did some some thought behind it and maybe interviewed a couple folks and come back to it.
May I ask you to repeat the conversation that you had with Housatonic Water?
As I mentioned, it was, it was some time ago. My best recollection is that Mr. Mercer called me, said that he ran a small water company in Great Barrington, that he hadn't had a rate increase in quite some time, and that he and I think he said that they may have had some problems in terms of their ability to provide service the way they'd like to, in the context of rates covering the costs of providing that service. And I think that he mentioned the concept of possibly selling to the town down the road, but it was really quite a preliminary conversation. I'm quite sure it wasn't more than 20 minutes. And that was really about the gist of it.
And there's two small follow-ups. One, why did he actually seek you out? And have you spoken with any other persons that you've been involved in any litigations in before you, I guess, didn't you shut down or have something to do with another water company?
Well, the water industry in Massachusetts, privately owned water industry, is very small. And at one point, I believe I represented maybe 8 of 9 of the privately owned water companies, excluding a couple that were very small. And I guess I probably would have included Housatonic in that small category. But so there's not a lot of people that have worked as lawyers for water companies in Massachusetts. I've done that for quite a number of years. I've both attended various water utility conferences, and although I never saw Mr. Mercer at any of those, you get known within the industry. And so I think that people in Massachusetts, as Attorney Dineski reached out to me, when people try to think of attorneys experienced in water matters in Massachusetts, I'm probably the first one that they think of.
Yeah, but you didn't, I'm sorry, did you specify or say why he actually came to you, Mr. Mercer? Why he came to you and not someone else?
Well, in terms of anybody else, I have no idea where he got my name, actually, to tell you the truth. He may have said at the time, I do not recall. There's the water companies have to, as you know, adjust their rates. So they go to the DPU, you're involved in proceedings, your name is on those dockets, on those orders. Perhaps he saw me there, perhaps he spoke with other people in the industry. I've certainly gotten clients that way. So, why he chose me, I don't know. I believe the purpose ultimately was to see if Rich May was a potential law firm to assist them. But, as I say, we never really proceeded with anything on that. And I believe that you also asked if I had talked with anybody else related to whether it was Housatonic. No, the answer would be no. In other contexts, yes, there have been times, for example, I have represented, at one point I was representing New England Service Company, and they were purchasing a couple different water companies and ultimately brought those together. And then they were selling one of those, and they happened to be looking to sell it to a company that I had also represented in another context, in a rate context. So I mean, there are certainly overlaps, and in any specialized area, you know, an attorney will know and may have spoken with people from, you know, different parties.
I appreciate your answer, thank you.
Peter, and then Lee, and then Eric.
So the jeopardy the town would face is if you engage counsel that has a privileged conversation or a representation. The way this is usually handled in a transactional context is, as I understand, I should have said Peter Moss from East Mountain Road, is one, when it's going to be a transaction, you ask the other side for a waiver in case there's any concern. If you have a waiver, then there's no jeopardy. Secondly, if the other side won't give you a waiver, you can ask the counsel that is asking to be engaged if they're representing to you that there will not be a challenge as to their engagement on a conflict basis, where they will offer to return to the town any fees that have been paid to them, so that if in the future there's a challenge to the engagement, the town will not have been in any jeopardy by having lost any fees. So that's usually the way I've seen these things handled, and just thought I'd share that.
Lee, and then
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of, and I'm not a lawyer, so I was thinking that there must be something that we could get this gentleman to sign if we proceed. And I was just curious, have you ever represented or worked with Aquarian?
Yes.
Just the water company. Could you give us some insight into your work with Aquarian?
I'm sorry, you faded out in my audio here.
Aquarian has recently purchased the water company in Sheffield, so I would like to know what your dealings were with Aquarian.
Yeah, so actually Sheffield Water Company was purchased by New England Service Company, which I mentioned, and ultimately Aquarion purchased New England Service Company. So at the time Sheffield sold, it was to the organization based in Connecticut, known as New England Service Company, not Aquarion. The Aquarion took ownership of New England Service Company once it had already owned Sheffield, which then had been renamed or merged. I can't remember exactly how we handled that, into Mountain Water Services.
So did you represent the town of Sheffield in any way, or represent Aquarian? Did you handle that mediation? That transaction?
I did represent New England Service Company in their purchase of, I believe it was, they purchased the assets, perhaps. I think that's probably how it was handled. So I represented New England Service Company in their purchase of the assets of Sheffield Water Company.
So I guess following up, I mean, I would love to have a conversation with the town of Sheffield just to get some more insight about that. Yeah, you know, I feel that there's some things that are worth exploring.
so we're gonna table this for 2 weeks.
Can I just make?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, yeah, and I guess I just wanna be clear with Mr. Kraftoff, like I completely respect that it is a small market per se of dealing with these private water companies and everything. And I appreciate the experience, and I'm not counting any of that against you. I just want to do a little more thorough talking and discussion and a little more research before we do our final determination, because this is a very significant priority in my book and on this board to resolve this water crisis that we've been in Housatonic. So by no means do I want you to consider my hesitation anything regards to you or your firm. I just want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can as a select board to make the right decision. So I agree with Steve, if we could table this for a couple of weeks and circle back on the next meeting, just so we can so I and everybody else can just give it some thought and do some research like Lisa suggested.
Yeah, and I because I started this line of questioning, I do want to echo what Eric said, and this is no disrespect to you, sir. But I just think that, you know, we are accountable to the Housatonic Waterworks customers and we should do our due diligence. So if you give us some time, we would appreciate to have another look at this.
Oh, absolutely. I'm totally happy with that. And really, I would not want to go into an engagement where the client had any questions and was not comfortable with us. So, you know, hopefully, I think that the former owner of Sheffield, you know, I think she can probably speak to our professionalism. You know, the customers deserve good water service, and they certainly you know, deserve a board that tries to protect their interests. So I totally respect that, and I take no disrespect at all for you doing your job.
Thank you, Attorney. We'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Next on the agenda is licenses and permits. First is an application for a one-day liquor license, Library Board of Trustees, Poetry Series at Mason Library, 231 Main Street, the fourth Saturday of each month from January through April, May 31st and June 28th, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So it's a total of 6 events. Hello, why don't you introduce yourself and just give a little overview, a little publicity for it.
You broke it.
Second time I've done this. Hi, Sharon Shalo, Brushwood Lane, Great Barrington. I'm chair of the library trustees. This is a collaboration between the trustees and the Friends, working with the owner of the former owner of, what was the name of it? Familiar Trees, the bookshop that was on Railroad Street. And this is a monthly poetry series. We're excited to have the library open on a Saturday night. This is when it's after hours and people like wine and beer with poetry.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the application for a one-day liquor license for the poetry series at Mason Library on the fourth Saturday of each month from January through April, May 31st and June 28th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. for a total of 6 events.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any questions?
No, just that people like beer and wine anytime. Doesn't matter what the weather is
One
or
of
not.
the two, you're doing another liquor license application. One asked you to waive the fee, this one didn't.
Yeah, we should. Typically we do for this, so can I have that added to the motion?
With the addition of waiving the fee.
Good. Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Roll call, Ben,
Aye.
Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. Next one is an application for a one-day liquor license, Library Board of Trustees for the Love of Libraries at Ramsdale Library, 1087 Main Street, Housatonic, Saturday, January 18th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay, same person. This is not a fundraiser. I just want to start out by saying that this is a reception to introduce all of the new library staff to the community, to update the community on what's going on in our libraries, introduce new trustees, just a real kind of fundraising evening. We're calling it For the Love of Libraries because this is an important time. Libraries are going to be challenged. I mean, we're coming up. We've already seen book challenges, but we have to worry about what's going to happen to the museum and library services funds at the federal level. Our state is going to be hard pressed to continue to fund at the levels that they are in the coming years. So we just want to start out by bringing the community together for a shared purpose and have some fun on cold winter night.
Thank you. I'm open to with feeling.
I move to approve the application for a one-day liquor license.
Excuse me, I noticed in the agenda that it said from 4 to 7 p.m.
Yes,
But actually, the application was from 4 to 9 p.m.
okay.
The setup is 4 to 5, the event from 5 to 8, and then clean up from 8 to 9.
Is that for the other one too? 'Cause I said
No.
Okay.
No.
I moved that we approve the one-day liquor license for the Love of Libraries at Ramsdale, Saturday, June 18th, from 4 PM to 9 PM with the fee waived.
Second,
Discussion? Roll call vote, Matt,
Aye.
Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
aye.
Lee,
Um,
and I, it's unanimous.
Thank
Good
you.
luck to you.
Thank you.
Next is under new business is the review of local state of emergency declaration. I do have a statement to read. On behalf of the select board and the town manager, I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize and express our gratitude to the many individuals and agencies that supported our efforts during the recent wildfire in the East Mountain area. This includes our dedicated team members, the Great Barrington Fire Department, the Great Barrington Police Department, the Public Works Department, the Health Department, our Communications Coordinator, the Accounting Department. Additionally, we want to thank the many neighboring mutual aid departments from across Berkshire County, Southern Berkshire Ambulance, several fire departments from Franklin, Hampshire, and Hampden counties, as well as the Franklin County Hand Crew. State and federal agencies, including the Massachusetts Bureau of Forest Fire Control, Massachusetts DCR Rangers, Massachusetts Department of Fire Services, Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, MEMA, the Mass State Police, the Wyoming State Forestry, the Bureau of Land Management, the National Public Park Service. Support from our neighbors is vital during incidents of this scale. We are incredibly grateful to everyone who lent a hand. Thank you for that. Mark, the discussion tonight, it was a review of the emergency declaration.
So just to recap, on November 19th, as you recall, we met for an emergency meeting to declare a local state of emergency in response to this wildfire. And we included this on tonight's agenda for two reasons. One, so that the board could have an opportunity to thank everyone that assisted, but also to reevaluate to see if you wanted to consider rescinding that local state of emergency. I think my recommendation would be to hold until the next meeting. We can put this on the agenda for the 16th, just in case any other additional expenses arise.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Next is the review of the town manager recruitment proposals. In your package, Community Paradigm Associates. Mark, do you have anything you want to say about this?
Yeah, I would just to provide a little background, I would just say that, as you recall, in, I think it was mid-November, at the request of this board, I sent a request for proposals out to recruitment firms. I think I sent it 4 firms, that conduct this type of, executive recruitment search. I received 2 proposals, and I only included 1 in your packet for tonight for 2 reasons. The first reason is that the second proposal I received came in after you had already posted, so I wasn't able to include it. And the second reason is that the proposal only provided a range of expenses. So as such, my recommendation tonight would be to approve the Community Paradigm Associates proposal for your town manager search. We've worked with them before. They did provide a firm price. We've had good success with them in the past. We've worked with them on our salary surveys. And I believe our police chief search as well, so.
We worked with them, I worked with them on when Mark was hired, with Bernie and with Sharon. They were very easy to work with. Lee was here then, and they took care of a lot of all of it needed to be done that the town couldn't do, and they were very professional. They were a really good organization.
I agree.
And assuming that you approve the proposal for tonight, I'll get to work with the team at Community Paradigm to draft and update the community profile and get this process underway.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the proposal from Community Paradigm.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Discuss.
no, I read through the packet, looked at their promotion and the towns they've worked with and after you guys saying that, I'm excited to work with them.
Yeah, they look good.
Yeah, and just the idea of kind of their philosophy of active recruitment, knowing kind of the players in Massachusetts government already, I think is a real advantage. So I'm excited to work with them.
Do I have a motion? I had a motion in a second, I'm sorry. Roll call vote, Ben,
Aye.
Garfield,
Right,
Eric,
Aye.
Lee is aye, it's unanimous. Next is appointment of interim town manager. What this would be, I'd like a motion that we hire, Chris Rumble as either acting town manager or interim, whichever title you want to have. And that, his contract would stay the same and he and I would negotiate salary.
So good.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, roll call. Ben,
Aye.
Garfield,
aye,
Eric,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I, it's unanimous.
He's here tonight, so I just wanna thank him for his willingness to serve this capacity.
yes, thank you, Chris,
Thank
for
Yes.
doing this.
It'll make things much smoother. Next is to review the proposed 2025 election calendar, annual town meeting survey results. So what tonight we'll do is we'll decide when we want to have the annual town meeting. We won't vote on the calendar because unless it's Monday. If it's not Monday, we'll come back in 2 weeks and vote on it because the town clerk will have to redo the calendar. So, Mark, do you want to start this out?
I guess all I would say is, following up on our conversation from the last meeting, you asked us to create and post a survey. We did that. I'm sure you all saw that. We posted on our website and our social media pages. The results of that survey were included in your packet for this evening. And as Steve said, if you opt to continue with the first Monday, we can approve the town meeting election calendar as presented. If you choose any of the other three options, which is certainly your right to do, well, we'll just have to come back to you with a revised calendar for approval on the 16th. That would be our last opportunity since the citizen petition window would open on January 2nd. So. And you don't meet between those 2 dates.
Peter, do you want to say something?
Please, Peter Most, East Mountain Road. You can all see the numbers. About 75% of those polled in the town had asked for a change. They have suggested that a weekend day would be preferable. And of the weekend days, it appears Saturday is winning. I'd only say that this is only a test. I don't think that people that are in favor of this are asking that this be a permanent, but it would be interesting and useful to move it to possibly a weekend day in order to get people, in order for the town to assess whether there will indeed be greater participation from town voters.
I look at the numbers a little differently.
So do I.
I will say that, well, 45% did say that split the 2 evenings in May or keep the meeting on the first Monday. And 55% did say either have the meeting on a Saturday or have the meeting on a Sunday. So, you know, I think we do have a decision to make tonight, and we do have to make that decision tonight. Board, how do you feel?
I would say, I mean, looking at the results, that unfortunately it does feel like a bit of a coin toss, right? You know, that it's a very small sample size. And the sample size is effectively split between the 4 options. I think it's up to us to decide if, kind of as Peter was saying, if we want to do this as an experiment. I think the best way to find out whether or not it has an impact, whether or not it works, is to try it. That's going to be the only way. We can deal in hypotheticals, but unless we actually try it and kind of see what it looks like in reality, that's the only way we're going to see the true results.
When I just as an aside, I did talk to the school. They thought they could make Saturdays work. There are sports that goes on at the school, so there's no guarantee. Obviously, this will be in the auditorium, but there's no guarantee it'll be an empty parking lot. But they thought, and once we come up with a date, then Chris or Mark will have more discussions with the school.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always up for trying something, and I know that we tried the Mahawi at one point, that didn't work out, but at least we tried, and having, you know, two people particularly that are so proactive and really challenging us and making us think about this, I think that, first of all, I'm grateful for this, and we don't know until we know, so I'm kind of, you know, aligned to just trying it and see how it goes, and trying to make it an educational opportunity and bring more people in. I'm for it, but I'm not gonna be on the stage, so I'm it to you and.
I look at it as being split between, actually Saturday and the Monday. And the other days, unfortunately, if we were doing something, I don't know, maybe a real election count, those aren't gonna really have any merit. It's too bad we couldn't ask the full town which actually two they want, because it is pretty much split between Saturday and Monday. I'm okay with it being on Monday, in my opinion. I'm not sure if I care for the Saturday idea.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess when we originally started speaking of this, like most town meetings, I was hoping for more people to turn out and vote for whichever they would prefer, but we got 197. It's not a commanding lead for Saturday. I do feel like, I don't know, I guess in my mind, I was thinking it would be like 60% for Saturday, because I thought that, but it's not. My question now would be, if we do it on Saturday, what time is that? And I guess I do have concerns about the parking lot being a little full, but at the end of the day, I'm kind of split. I do think we need to change to get more participation, but I do feel that we're gonna show up and have the same amount of people now after this, which is unfortunate. I know costs are an issue, but I think they're minor. I guess right now I'm kind of torn between, I think the status quo is kind of getting tough, you know, because if we do it on a Monday night, we don't know what kind of citizen petitions are coming. And then we're gonna be back into a 10:30, 11 o'clock situation. And just watching the exodus happen. Where in a Saturday, if we were to start it at a early reasonable hour, then we would be able to get it through. I guess that's the benefit I see in it, and that's what I've always thought. And before I saw these things, I was kind of hands down with voting for Saturday, but now I'm just kind of disappointed that only 197 people voted. But I do think it's worth giving Saturday a shot.
I have many concerns, not that I won't support Saturday. One being that if it's a 75-degree and we do it at 1 PM on a Saturday afternoon, I hope we get a quorum. The other is, if there are youth events that day, the parents that we hope to attract may be at those events. And then maybe the most important one, which I said from the beginning, is Saturday is a religious day for the Jewish faith. And that concerns me. Yes, 1 o'clock, after 1 o'clock would be better. I think having this Saturday night would be a disaster, because I think that people just do things at night. And I think part problem is not the Saturday, or Monday, it's the nighttime, which we do it at night, we're gonna have the same problems we do on Monday. I have always been an advocate that we put an end on Monday night to 9 o'clock, and we move it, we come back on Thursday. I think going past 9, we barely have a quorum, and the people there don't represent the people who were in the building starting at 6, but I'll go with the will of the board.
I have to echo some of what Steven says as well, stopping at 9 even, but I also have to think on Saturday. I myself work, but there's a lot of people that are still working during the day. There's a lot of guys who cut grass and whatnot for their living. That has to be done during the day, during working hours. So if it's to be done on a Saturday, it probably shouldn't be until at least 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean, just one more plug for trying it. You know, we have an opportunity that we have 2 people that are committed to not only, herald, championing this change, proposed change, but actually, seeking an educational opportunity and trying something that moves the needle a little bit in the direction that we want to go. So I'm always feeling when we have people in our community willing to take the extra step and champion something, it might not work, but the fact that we have this momentum of let's try it. I feel that, it might be in our best interest to try it and see how it goes, rather than being like, okay, well, we haven't even, given it a shot, so.
The problem with just the two people, I understand, I appreciate their work.
I guess there's people
diligence.
behind them.
Right,
so.
that's what I mean, but it's just two people isn't very representative either. I understand
Yeah.
their work and I understand that they're doing their due diligence, but I don't think I can't predicate my vote on what two people are doing.
Yeah, and I would say this, it's for all the reasons to do this, Peter and Marina are good people, they're good citizens of the town, consider them both to be friends. But if every time two people came to us to ask us to do something, the town would be a freaking mess. Because we'd be going in 17 different directions. But I do appreciate the work that they're doing on this, and I know that they're committed to trying something for a good reason, because the number of people at our town meetings have pretty much plateaued, and I'm not sure it's representative, and I'm not gonna tell you that this won't be better. It may, we won't know until we try. Do I have a motion?
All right, can I still? I did the formal hand raise and everything. Yeah, I just kind of echo a lot of what's just been said. I mean, if honestly, all four of these options have downsides. They're all kind of bad, right? Like Monday, we keep it on Monday, we go in the same direction that we've been going. You split it into 2 nights. That's 2 nights that you're asking people to show up on 1 week, which is you're already having trouble getting people to show up 1 night on a weeknight. I don't see expanding it over 2 days really being that much better. And then Saturday and Sunday, everything you're saying about, running into people's weekday schedules, work schedules, sports schedules, religious schedules, like this is an inconvenient process. Like that's just, it is. And, it's especially as we kind of continue to deal with bigger, more complicated issues, we're going to have to find a way to build this engagement, or it's not going to continue to work for us because we're not going to have an actual representative democracy. So I think we need to try something. And I think the schedule change, kind of as Lee is saying, is just part of it, right? There's plenty of work to be done around actually building the engagement, getting people there for whatever we decide. So I think we're at a point where we should try something, but
Just don't know if this is it, but let's try for a motion if everyone's done.
Okay, I move that we move the town meeting on a pilot basis to Saturday with a time to be decided.
Okay, let's decide the time.
Oh.
It's May 3rd would be the first Saturday in May. Let's rip the Band-Aid off.
Did you
decide
guys
the time.
do any research in terms of time? Did you go that far? No.
No, that's already been expressed. It was any time after 1 o'clock for purposes of religious observance, but we never.
Just wondering.
And in the afternoon, because many people did tell us that one reason they don't go on Monday nights is driving in the dark, although there'll be a different. So afternoon.
Yeah.
So
what does everybody think about a 2 p.m.?
We're shooting in the dark. I like 2 p.m. I would have liked 1 and I would have liked 3 too, but it's. Yeah, sounds fine to me. I think Peter's correct. I think there are 2 things that they've identified, and I don't disagree. Monday night's very difficult and nighttime is very difficult. So Mondays are difficult, nighttime's difficult. So if we're gonna try something different, let's not do it on Monday and let's not do it at night.
Yeah.
okay, so I'll change it then. I would like to make a motion to try a pilot change of the town meeting to Saturday at 2 o'clock
Second.
So that would be May 3rd.
on May 3rd.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, Ben,
Aye.
Garfield,
No,
Eric,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and it passes 4-1.
I will reach out to our moderator, town council, and the school district.
Yeah, that's another reason we have to come in.
Yeah, and we'll get a revised, assuming it's a go for all parties, I will get a revised calendar to the next meeting.
Okay. I'll give you my calendar, so it must be official.
You just did for two people.
The request for W.E.B. Du Bois sculpture project to add engraved bricks to the existing design. Do I have someone here?
See any familiar names,
Just raise your hand if you're on Zoom, if you're in the audience, step up, and I know everyone here. So we'll just put this off for 2 weeks, it's not gonna affect, I don't believe it'll affect them at all, we'll ensure Julie gets here for the next, or her representative will get here. Okay, next is a review and accept affordable housing restriction from CDCSB Thornwood Inn for the project at 453 Southwood Road. Who is here representing Thornwood? Julie, we just passed over you for 2 weeks because you weren't here. Our meeting started at 6, but we will go back.
The last time I was here, I was here forever, I thought that.
We're unpredictable, but did you have fun the last time?
I learned.
Don't answer.
I learned so much.
Okay, I don't see anybody from Thornwood, so we'll go back to, WB Du Bois Sculpture Project adding engraved bricks to existing design. Do you want to just explain what you would like to do?
Hi, thank you for taking me. We're on the last leg of this and have to raise a little more money. Whew. And several people who are interested in rather large donations have asked about recognition, et cetera, and so we're trying to come up with ideas, and this is not a new idea, the idea of having bricks. We were thinking that if someone donated $5,000, we've had, I'd say, 8 or 10 of those already. And we'd like some more businesses to donate. I really believe this is going to make a difference in tourism. I think it's going to attract new visitors to town. We haven't given much opportunity or done any door knocking in that way. And I think this would be appealing. Joe Aberdale and I have talked about how we could do it tastefully. And he and I are meeting tomorrow to sort of scope it out. I think it would be subtle. We haven't decided whether we're going to do it yet. But it's nice to ask and know that we can, if that's the direction we go in. And so that was the request.
So just so I'm clear, would our motion include that for anyone giving $5,000 or above? Yeah, I know. And the reason I asked that.
Yeah.
I think the fewer bricks, like, I don't wanna see 200 bricks with names on it all over the place. I think it makes it.
Let's agree on,
Where exactly are the bricks going? 'Cause
well, there's a brick apron.
Yep,
They're old bricks and it sort of follows along the bottom of the bench. And we were thinking of doing that, and then we were also thinking there might be a little wall that we could put them in. So I can come back and explain it to you, but it's if they did go into the ground, I would say if there were 20 bricks, I'd be surprised. All told, because I think Steve is right, we should only do it for major donors. There are a couple of banks that haven't given us money, and I want to give them an opportunity to give us money.
smart.
And this seems like a good opportunity. So it's very late in the game for us to do this, but
I guess I'm just asking, so it's not like you're gonna add additional anything,
Oh,
you're
no,
just
no, no.
talking about incorporating it into like the
incorporating it into
existing
the
wall
brick wall.
that was there.
That-
Not,
and there-
not extending anything
No,
or
no.
anything like that.
And you cannot believe, Google bricks.
Mhm.
And there are like 5,000 companies who do this brick thing.
Mhm, mhm.
Who knew?
Yeah.
I also want to tell you, and I don't know whether I have, because we just made this decision, that we're thinking that May 17th will be the unveiling. And that's, let's talk about, I mean, I'm suggesting. We were thinking it should be in the spring, everything will be ready. The flowers might even be coming out. It's before June when things get very crazy here and there's a fundraiser around every corner. So we thought it would be a good time. Like I say, this is in cahoots with you guys, you know. This is our thought. I'd love to know what you think. What do you think?
Well, not that it matters with me, but I have my daughter's graduating that weekend from George Washington University. You don't need me. I just happened to, I was like, that she's graduating,
Yeah, we could,
the day before, but it shouldn't
yeah, that's the
determine
reasoning we have,
that date.
but it's
I think it,
full of holes,
Yeah.
so. you
So
know.
let's worry about that.
yeah,
Let's.
Yeah,
Julie,
okay,
would it be appropriate, I mean, would 2 weeks matter that if you brought back more information, like what your board decided before we agreed to it?
no, come on, $5,000, that's it,
Okay,
yeah. But I wanna start selling these things,
Okay,
if they come back, you know, then it's Christmas.
$5,000 and no expansion of any of
No,
the,
no, absolutely not.
yeah.
I'll take that as a
Discreet.
motion.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
so moved.
And do I have a second? Okay, so I have a motion and a second discussion.
Yeah.
Well,
Just wait, so we're postponing until we get more information?
Well,
Yeah.
we're giving the information, there's no expansion of impervious surfaces, and that it's $5,000 an hour.
Yeah, I mean, I would love just to kind of see the actual where and the drawings where imagining this would go. That's kind of my only last piece for me, but
I have no problem adding that to the motion, that they'll come back to us with drawings for us to approve.
Yeah.
Lee, do I have that?
So moved. Yeah.
Second, okay, Garfield,
I just have a question, was we not happy with the date, or we pushing that?
well, we're not dealing
We're
with
not
it right
discussing
now,
the
it's not on the agenda, and I'm trying to get the bricks passed and.
Well, I don't know what the big deal, well, I
I
wasn't sure
can't talk
what the,
about two things at once.
well, I wasn't sure what the big deal was with the date, I mean, it made perfect sense, the date is fine, I mean,
Oh, yeah, don't worry
it's
about it.
not June.
Come back,
Yeah.
it just, that was.
Hi.
Sure, yeah.
Yes, hi. Again, I love what you're doing, but the library hasn't heard about this, and I know that, you know, our building is on town land, it's a town building. I'm a little concerned about how these bricks get labeled in such a way that if the library wanted to do a fundraiser and involve bricks, oh, you know, I'm a little
Okay.
concerned. And so I'm wondering if in this time we could talk.
We'll talk,
Okay, thanks.
we'll talk.
More discussion. Hearing none, roll call. Ben.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I. Let's put on another agenda for the date.
Yeah.
And check with, make sure the library is available, make sure they don't have an event planned that
They
day.
might be having a wedding.
And also, I think Lee's point is well taken. College graduations are then, so make sure your board can make it, and, you know, and most of our board can be there. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to share it with you
Yeah.
because we just made this decision and.
It's in my calendar.
Okay.
And I'm sure it's in everyone's right now.
So, but I'll come back and.
Yeah. Formal,
And then I'm gonna talk. Thank you,
Thank
thank you for.
yes, no problem. Okay. Is anyone here about the affordable housing restriction? Chris? Yeah.
Hi, everybody, Chris Rimble. I'm not sure you need any presentation from the CDC. The affordable housing restriction in front of you is pursuant to the CPA grant for 453 Stockbridge Road. And something I think you may have also discussed with the special permit, but pursuant to the CPA grant, the affordable housing, it's put a restriction on a certain number of units for a certain number of years. CDC's already agreed to it, councils have approved it. Now it's in your hands to approve and accept it and sign the document, which is in the place.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Chris, I guess, I do remember the special permit process. What I don't remember was it becoming a not-for-profit, and my understanding with a not-for-profit is that it will completely take this off the tax rolls, and my recollection, and maybe I'm wrong, at the special permit, there's a lot of talk about hotel tax. And although there would be a reduction of the appraisal or whatever of the tax coming in from there, but there'd still be some sort of tax base coming back to the town for that. So I was wondering two things. One, does, by this board approving this becoming a not-for-profit, does it completely remove this property from the tax base? And if so, for just like property tax, and then follow up with the hotel tax?
That's a little confusing. I'll try to clarify. So this board is not, the CDC already exists as a nonprofit, has already purchased the site.
Mhm.
And that's something that I think we discussed as a fiscal impact during the special permit,
Mhm.
that it may come off the tax rolls, but the units may still be subject to lodging and rooms taxes.
Mhm.
So I'm confident we discussed that, or at least
Mhm.
defined. So you're not approving it becoming a nonprofit.
Okay.
That already exists.
Yeah.
You're simply following through on the intent of the CDA grant, which is to restrict those units so that the town is sure it's getting the benefit of those funds for community housing.
Mhm.
That community housing benefit continues to accrue for a certain number of years to the town.
So just to confirm that the lodging tax is still gonna be in place.
As far as I know, I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah.
not prepared to talk about that specifically, but
Yeah.
as far as I know, the lodging tax will, these are still rooms, they're still short-term rooms.
Yeah.
Subject to the meals or the lodging.
Lee?
Was this something we should have done last year when we approved it?
No, this is pursuant to the CPA grant, which was passed at the past town meeting in May 2024. CPA grant was approved. The grant agreement was signed, negotiated over the summer with the CDC and only recently signed. So we haven't released the CPA funds. In order to release those funds, we said, let's get an affordable housing restriction in place so you know that we are giving funds for affordable housing.
And that's for all units?
It's only for 10 of the units, as discussed with the CDC.
10 out of the 16, wasn't it, right? And Chris, I don't know if you're up for discussing it, but the exhibit B, can somebody go through that? Just because I'm just slightly confused by the monthly rate and the affordable guideline. And what that means. So like unit 1, Violet, it's 185 square feet and it's monthly rate's $975. 30% affordable guidelines, $1,850. So I guess I'm confused on which one is which, that's all.
So they will be charging the column that says monthly rate.
Okay,
The maximum that they could go to under this restriction is that 30% affordable guideline. In other words, if a person makes 100%
Mhm.
of the AMI, they can quote unquote afford, i.e. 30% of their.
right,
Pay.
yeah. I guess
They're
that's
not charging them.
right, but there's nothing from them saying 6 months from charging that, or is there, in my understanding?
If possible, they
Yeah.
could, they
They
didn't
could
have a
always hire us
tenant,
that,
you know,
not hire.
pursuant to whatever the lease agreement was.
And that's just for my understanding, that none of this all based on salary, and that guideline has nothing to do with square footage of the actual unit they're selling. I guess, that formula for the affordable guideline, because they're all
That's just
18,
based
15
on
up and down.
but just based on.
Not on, has nothing to do with square footage.
It's just one person or two people.
Yeah.
And how many people are in that room, can fit in that room?
Mhm.
What could that total income be? What is 30%? What is it for?
Yeah. Oh,
Doesn't.
Just while we're looking at this exhibit B, the single person, 100% AMI, is that based on the 4-person occupancy? It just seems super high, 6,166 for 100% AMI. Is that saying that there's 4 people in each room?
That's 100% of the area median income. It's 100% of that person's income for a month.
one
That's
person.
that's one person making median income as defined.
100%, yeah. Gotcha. So 30% off, gotcha, okay.
30% of that is what they
Yeah.
can afford to pay.
Yeah.
Under the flood guidelines.
Thank you.
Other questions? Do I have a motion?
I move that we accept the affordable housing restriction from the CDC Thornwood, the project at 453 Stockbridge Road.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll select it just for discussion
Yeah, that's-
purposes.
Sure.
Then again, Chris, sorry, but. Did we put a time frame on how long this goes, or is this permanently in the deed for that place? I guess is what I'm asking.
I think it's a minimum of 10-year restriction.
10-year restriction, then, and then what happens after that? Does it come back to the board?
Mark, could I review that for next?
Or does it just go back to, yeah, I guess I was curious how that,
Sorry.
in that 10 years.
Do a number of these, so. Remember the restrictions professional.
Oh. Yeah.
Other questions?
And then I guess just the last thing I had is at one point, and I'm not sure if it ever happened or not, but with there was like a for lack of a better word for it, I guess like a wandering restaurant service being held there. And if events like that happen in the one kitchen there, I guess does that would obviously fall under meal tax, and I guess I'm just curious, like there is gonna be some sort of that was never really approved for that to be a commercial kitchen there, so I guess I would just like to, draw where that boundary is, so I know we're talking about affordable housing here and the CDC does a lot of great things, but I just want to make sure that in that special permit, there was talk of just like affordable housing and just, maybe possibly some market rate places, but never like for hire kitchen, commercial kitchen stuff, or, is there gonna be like other events there? And that would be the question I have, just to finalize that, just to get it all out, to make sure we're on the same page.
I don't recall a special permit ever discussing a commercial kitchen for rent.
Yeah, so, Chris, if I had a discussion with their previous director. They are using the commercial kitchen there, but they're not serving. That's what they're doing right now.
Mhm.
I think it's up to our building inspector to interpret our special permit and decide if that's legal, but they did serve twice there. They realized that, at least from what I was told, that was a mistake. It was not part of their special permit. You're absolutely right.
Right.
I don't, my own personal opinion, I'm not sure it's part of their special permit to rent out a commercial kitchen there. But that's really up to our building inspector.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't recall. I don't have the terms of that special permit in front of me.
No, yeah.
Can be looked at. But that's not,
That's not in
there's
this.
nothing in the affordable housing restriction that says, yes, you can also do this. That is,
Right,
that is something in the territory of your special permit of zoning use.
yeah.
Michelle?
Michelle LeBear, 70 Division Street. I attended the meetings where, the change to Thornwood for affordable housing were discussed. And I'm actually kind of upset right now. If there is a commercial kitchen there and it's being used for that purpose, and I know we're saying it's really the building inspector, that goes to somewhat like an enforcement issue. Also, does the not-for-profit jeopardize their status if they own this place, but they're making some money off the kitchen? I'm really getting irritated that taxpayers are told that a project's one thing, and then you sit in another meeting and you hear something else is going on. That isn't right. And I know every affordable housing has a nice sound to it, but not when certain things are being misrepresented. I'm gonna be very forthright here. I'm very uncomfortable with this. This is the second thing that was discussed tonight that's left a bad taste in my mouth. So if there is a kitchen there that's being used for commercial purposes, I would highly recommend the building inspector do something about it. Thank you.
So where I will agree with you and not on this, I will talk more in generalities. That over the years, special permits are voted on, a lot of time is taken. And then some things that should happen, don't happen.
Well, that's what the planning board was talking about, enforcement.
Yeah, no, I
And
understand.
that's what I'm.
We're in agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but I'm not gonna talk about this. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion from the board? Roll call vote. Ben?
Aye.
Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree to this affordable housing restriction as it's written right here.
Lee?
Aye.
And it's unanimous. And I would ask again that we go back to the building inspector to interpret what's going on there. Discuss senior citizens tax deferral program. Ross and Mark, you want to lead and start on the conversation?
I don't have a whole lot to bring to the conversation tonight. I was not here last week, so I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this evening. I did, however, pull up the 2022 annual town meeting warrant article, just for context as we discuss this, but Ross, does the board have any specific questions that they want to?
Yes, we'd like to see the tax rate go down by 0.5% from 4.5 to 4, and the ceiling go from 40 to 45. With one or two people using it, I don't think it's gonna cause a problem or break the bank.
Ross, do you want to discuss the process for that?
You want to do what, raise the income and lower the interest rate?
Correct.
If that's something the select board wants to do, they would have to determine what they want to raise it to on the income side, what you want to lower the interest rate to on the end.
I already have 45 and to the upside and 4% from 4.5 to 4%.
And that would have to go to town meeting and be voted on.
That's right.
So that's not gonna be done tonight. As we get closer to town meeting, we'll vote on a warrant article to decide on whether we're going to do that or not.
So this obviously won't get decided, but I did want to throw this into the mix, especially since I will be leaving. This is my second to last meeting. But I will give some information to the board in case someone wants to take this on and champion it and bring this to the attention of the citizens. Affordability in general is the most pressing issue we have as a, town, as a state, as a nation, especially for seniors. And I wanted to get some information, and I have printouts for the board, but to give you some context, Andy Hodgland, who was a recently retired member of the Williamstown Select Board, brought this to my attention. About 2 years ago, the Williamstown Select Board discussed the residential tax exemption, which is what we discussed before, and decided against it. Instead, they opted to pursue a means-tested property exemption. This approach provides property tax relief based on the ability to pay rather than the value of a home for ages 65 and up, which is the senior circuit breaker. It requires a home rule petition to the legislature. Williamstown's petition, which is House 5006, has passed the House and is currently pending the Senate. And I have some more details. And basically, there's other towns that have successfully passed similar bills, and they all vary. But what I do have here as a template, if this board would like to get some more information, I have the actual home rule petition from Williamstown, which establishes a means-tested senior property tax exemption. So this would be going a step further than what this might be doing, but it does require the legislature to do a home rule petition. And I also have a copy of the actual bill that's being looked at in the legislature. But essentially what it does is the home rule petition treats different topics, and it looks at whether the eligibility limit on home values adopts the senior circuit limit, which is a statewide average. It determines amounts and limits on the benefit, and it goes into what the overall cap is. So it goes one step further in providing further benefits to those that might want to have a tax deferral or until they're able to pay. So it's another mechanism or another tool that we could possibly utilize to bring relief to seniors. And some of the home rule petitions that I have here there's a chart, and basically determines such as an income limit based on the circuit breaker, the senior circuit breaker. So rather than $45,000 salary, it actually goes farther. And it gives options for the asset limits. So it looks at each individual and determines what kind of assets they are. Looks at age, so it uses the circuit breaker, which is 65 and older. The board would have the ability to determine the residency requirements, so it could be 10 years consecutive or 5 years, and it gives different benefits. So it's one additional tool that actually helps seniors more than just moving it up by $5,000 or lowering the interest rate by 0.5%. So I did want to offer this information in case
Can you
in the
give it
next.
to Mark and then we'll
Yeah,
spread it out. to everyone?
Exactly. So the next thing, so I will say that, this was successfully passed by home rule petition in Williamstown. John Barrett, Rep. John Barrett has put forward this in the legislature, and it did go through the House and now is pending in the Senate. And it is something that provides additional relief to seniors.
Is
So
this something that we should add to this? I suppose, I don't want to take the STD out that we have now.
yeah,
We have several other options, and we can always add this as an.
yes, I mean, it could be something that is
Then that
explored in the
might
long
make it-
term. Yeah, so.
Right, well, it might make it more red tape to go through when we already have something in process. I just don't want to take that off the
No,
board.
exactly. So I wouldn't say that this would be either or. I mean, you could put forth your amendments, so, dropping the interest rate and raising the salary limits, but this goes another step further and would involve a home rule petition and an act of the legislature. So it does bring more relief to seniors.
Mhm.
And it's something that I would recommend you exploring in addition to your amendment. So I will leave this with the board, and I have copies for everyone. And I just want to make people aware that this exists.
Thanks, Lee. Vivian.
Hi.
Vivian, you're on mute.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Hello,
Go ahead,
Maybe.
Vivian.
okay. I just would like to ask Principal Assessor Ross Favari where he found the information that this has to go to town meeting, because as some of you know, I've done extensive research on this It was before the finance committee about 4 or 5 times, and before the select board about twice. And when I researched it, I actually reached out to assessors in other towns which had successfully used the senior tax deferral for many years. And they made it clear that while the original change from the state law, which was established like about 45 years ago at rates that are totally out of date now of interest rates and income, that originally has to be passed to make the town different from the state law. And I think, I can't remember how many towns, but I think, close to 100 towns have done this to adopt their local laws to the current situation. But once it's passed by the town meeting, which as the assessor says is correct, then each year it's up to the select board, just like it reviews other taxes, to rule on the interest rates and the income limits from what was
That is
originally
correct.
passed by town.
That is correct.
That isn't correct, unfortunately. I
I
think
think
the
it is
problem
correct.
is how
That's
the
how we
town
do it
meeting
before.
warrant is worded, which is Ross going ahead.
I spoke to Jim Crowley. He's the attorney for the Department of Revenue. And he is telling me, if you want this amended, it has to go to town meeting. You guys can sit there and say, yes, we want to go to 45 instead of 40, from 5 to whatever, that's fine. But it has to go to town meeting to get approved.
Hey, Randy, did you hear that?
Yes, I did. And I guess there are a lot of assessors in the state who misinformed me otherwise, because they all informed me that it was reviewed by their select board, sometimes also by their finance committee, but that once it passed town meeting, originally, it never had to go back to town meeting. And when I presented it to the town, to our annual meeting in 2022, I think I included that. I don't know if it was included in the warrant article, but I certainly included that in my comments because it makes it much more convenient for the town to adapt to it, because the town was concerned that, we need to keep up with what's going on in the world. With inflation and everything like that, some of our incomes are going up, but it's not that we have more purchasing power. It's just that when we turn in our tax returns as proof to the assessor, it will show increased income. Now, if that increased income may not buy us more, and we may still be in a very tight budget situation. So anyhow, when this was originally passed, it went by what other towns where I spoke to the assessors, for example, in Norwell, in Sudbury, in Newton, and a few other towns that I can't remember, but those assessors were most helpful to me. And I just checked their websites now, and some of them are keeping their 2% annual interest because they've had that for a long time and they really want to make it more affordable. Others, like for example, the town of Brookline was at 2%, but they recently raised their rates to 3.9%. But then they offer that approved taxpayers for the tax deferral also get 50% off their water and sewer bill to the town for fiscal year 2025.
Can we keep on the subject that we're talking about, please? We don't own a water company right now. Hopefully someday we will. And sewer, we're not talking about that now, so can we stay on the subject?
I'm not suggesting that we do that now. All I'm suggesting is that what the other assessors have done for many, many years. I mean, this is not something new statewide where they've tried to adjust to the old state law, which does require town meeting to change from the state law. But once once our town meeting approved not following the amounts on state law, and each year it's up to just the select board, or if they want to, they can go to the finance committee also to change the rates.
Thank you, Vivian. Lee?
So two questions. Was this because the original warrant article was written in such a way that you have to go back to town meeting? If it was written a different way, that would have been up to the select board to adjust it? Is that what we're hearing? That, because I know Vivian's, what she intended, her intention was that the select board make the changes, but was it because the warrant article was written in such a way that it was incorrect?
Well, just going back to what I read with, I did not have any time to research
Yeah.
this going into tonight.
And we said that would happen by putting it on the.
So maybe we can
Yes,
just
but I do have a copy of the warrant article here, and it does specifically say 40,000 and 5%.
But does it say anything about if adjustments to be made or?
No.
doesn't say anything about that?
No.
So, Vivian, maybe could we ask for town council, just take a look at that and make sure that it doesn't need to go back to town meeting if we wanted to do amendments? That would provide some clarity moving forward. Is that, okay?
Go ahead.
That's okay.
And could I just say one? So Vivian,
Just muted, it's fine.
okay, I think you might want to look at what I have here. That might be helpful in what you're trying to do as well, so I'll be happy to share this with you.
This has
And I will
passed.
be sure, so basically, it goes up to 150% of the circuit breaker, so I can share it with everyone here.
This has passed the town meeting.
Yeah.
I don't see what.
I think we're just gonna
a
ask
problem,
council.
right,
Yeah,
I
we're
just don't
ask-
see where it would be an issue myself.
Okay,
I guess,
Go ahead.
just to put my own 2 cents in on it, when we come to discuss it in the future, whatever the next step may be, I would be hesitant to lower rates. I'm fine with increasing the burden or the loan or whatever the income is. Just with the way rates are in general, in the world of finance, fluctuating significantly. Some think they're coming down, but still going up, so. I would be hesitant to adjust.
I would, if I may say, just make this known to her.
Yeah.
We're talking about elderly people who aren't gonna have a lot of money, so if we're going to bump it or keep it, then they're not gonna be able to afford it, is my thought. And I'm an elderly person, and I don't think that it would behoove me to keep it like it was, and if I could drop it, it would certainly gonna make it easier. If it goes higher, let's say 6 or 7%, I wouldn't be able, and elderly people are gonna be able to afford that by the time they're ready.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying to raise it. I guess I would just need to do a little more research before our next meeting. Before I would consider dropping it lower than 5 or what it's at now. That's all.
Yeah, and what I will say is, having a home rule petition allows you to shape it what best serves this community. So it actually gives you additional tools, so you can set a cap so that the town, knows exactly each year, what the limit is. So, for example, in Sudbury, they capped the benefits to 0.5% of the levy by the select board at the annual tax classification hearing. So every year the town knows what the cap is. It doesn't just all of a sudden we have 100 people, taking advantage of it. So you can build a cap in, you can build, the house value, you can build the benefits. So in Williamstown, they said 150% of circuit breaker income, a senior circuit breaker. So they actually have the cap of different incomes who qualify. So the beauty in this is that you can actually really customize it to serve the community that you're trying to hit to benefit. And it will take some time, but it's, there is a precedent. So I would strongly suggest, taking a look at this doesn't mean it's going to work here, but we have Williamstown that has offered to help us. So I think it's something that we should take use of it.
Anyone else? Vivian, very briefly. Go ahead, Vivian.
Thank you. Yeah, just very quickly. Unlike the residential tax exemption, this doesn't shift the payment to other people in town because it's a tax deferral. It's not a tax exemption. It's basically an investment in the town. Instead of investing in a savings account, they're investing in a home which has which has a limit on how much can be deferred. You can't defer more than 50% of the value of the home totally over decades. So this is like a loan that the town would be investing in. It's not an exemption.
Thank you, Vivian. Okay, unless someone has something else to say, we'll move ahead. Thanks, Ross. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Senior citizens retirement. We were talking about senior citizens. I'm feeling like a senior citizen. Okay.
You are a senior citizen.
Go ahead, Claudia.
Prior meeting, Mark had announced the release of the executive session minutes on the town website. I'm unable to locate them on the website, so I'm asking the board and town manager tonight to give me some direction and some guidance on exactly how to locate them.
Okay. We'll do that.
Yeah, I can check with staff in the morning and see where they're posted and we can share that with you.
So I can come in and see you tomorrow, Mark, and
You
you
can
can,
just email me. I'm gonna be in meetings almost all day tomorrow, but email me and I'll respond in between meetings.
all right, thanks.
Okay, Elizabeth Rockefeller.
Yes, Elizabeth Rockefeller, 284 Park Street North. I just have a comment about Saturday town meetings. And I understand that it is good to make a change once in a while, but have you thought that you would have to check with the high school sports schedules on weekend out of town games, where parents and family and friends would not be able to attend Saturday town meetings? You're making them force between going to their grandchildren's out of town games versus staying home and going to a town meeting.
Yeah, I did mention that tonight.
And that then if you did that, you would not have a true representation of taxpayers at any Saturday town meeting, day or evening.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
You're welcome.
Eileen?
Eileen Mooney, excuse me, 2 Bernard Gibbons Drive, apartment 213. I was going to suggest that we consider a bonus to the Great Barrington firefighters for their work. But after hearing the very long list of everyone who participated, I don't quite know how to single out one department, even if it's ours, for special attention. So I'm just suggesting that people think, what besides an ovation at town meeting could be done to honor all the firefighters?
Eileen, we will consider.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vivian, go right ahead.
Oh, this will be quick. I just want to thank Lee Davis for looking for other ways to help seniors who are trying to cope with high property taxes and their implications either as owners or renters. And I'm interested in hearing about this other potential legislation that is on its way for Williamstown, and that you might be able to look into passing for Great Barrington. But obviously that needs more study, and it's different, as I think Garfield pointed out. These are two different things, and they both deserve to be accurately reviewed and voted on. Thank you.
Thanks, Vivian. Seeing no one else. Selectboard time, Deb.
Nothing for me.
Garfield.
Just that this is the time of year when we should all be nice to each other, when we should be all the time. But if you're haven't seen your family or loved ones, maybe you want to reach out to see someone you know and haven't seen them, talk to them, see somebody in the street who needs a hand, please don't be opposed to doing something like that. We need to help each other.
Thank you, Garfield. Eric?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
So this is my second to last meeting. And, I wanted to say to Eileen, I think that's a great idea to have some ceremony or some party or something for the emergency services. I think that would be great to do something, whether it's just a big potluck or something. And also, again, shout out to those that, have beautifully lit our downtown, and Sip and Stroll is Saturday, December 14th. So get ready for the community. I think it's a wonderful celebration. So that's Saturday, December 14th.
Thank you. Media time. By unanimous consent, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.